Welcome to the I Love Coaching podcast, the show where we help coaches, entrepreneurs, and leaders build businesses that create massive impact. I'm Adam Roach, alongside my incredible co-host,
Jess Webber, and we're here today to bring you the best strategies, mindset shifts, and real-life success stories to help you level up in your coaching journey.
Whether you're launching your coaching business, scaling to 6 or 7 figures, or just looking for inspiration to push through, this podcast is your go-to resource.
We're bringing you expert insights, real talk, and actionable items every single episode. So if you're ready to take your coaching game to the next level,
then let's dive on in. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the I Love Coaching podcast. I'm Adam Roach, one of your hosts, and with
Jess Webber, your other host.
That is right. Jess, I am so excited. I mean, you can hear in my voice, I do nothing but talk here in December about goal planning, about auditing. So let's keep this conversation going, and let's see if I can actually lose my voice during this podcast. It's going to be great.
I love that, although I don't know that the listeners will. So let's also make sure that we drop some value too.
We will definitely drop some value. And by the way, if you hear me taking a drink of water, that's me drinking lemon water right now. So excuse me. Though, Jess, let's go down this path. So let's go down the path of auditing your year in the learning space. Let's talk about that.
Well, let's do it. So just to remind people, the episode before we were sharing how we have several questions that we use inside our community to help people be reflective in their week typically. So we'll ask people, what's one word about how you're feeling? And then last episode, we focused predominantly on how do you identify and diagnose wins in your business, right? And so the next question that we always ask people is, what lesson did you learn in your coaching business? And that's really where we wanted to focus today is how do you identify lessons? What do you do to be reflective? And then how do you use those to audit your business?
That's right. Let's go back though. I want our listeners who are coaches and leaders to hear a quick pro tip. I do start a lot of my coaching. If I'm coaching someone one-on-one, remember your job is to step into the space to hear, feel, and experience their energy at the moment that the coaching call starts. So we start our community with that same question is, tell us how you're feeling in one word. I'll give you an example real quick. So I had a coaching call this morning and I asked my client, I said, tell me in one word, what are you feeling right now? So she said confused, right? And that was so neat because I had a whole path of where I was going to take her in the coaching space. And because she said confused, I got to pause everything and I got to go right into, well, tell me something about what's causing you to be confused. And we went down that path. So I wanted everyone to hear that pro tip there, that it's great to start your coaching calls with, tell me what you're feeling right now. What's your one word?
I think that's huge because I think oftentimes we get excited because we've learned something, we want to share something, or we want to pick up where we left off from the previous call and see what they've implemented and where they can go next.
That's right.
And sometimes the client isn't ready for that, or they're not in the right headspace for that. And so I think it is really important to learn that lesson as a coach of breathing and listening and reading energy of your client from, like you said, the second they log on or the second that you dial, because I think that's going to, provide the trajectory for the rest of the entire conversation.
That's right. And it definitely segues and ties into the third question that we always ask all the coaches on the community calls is, what was your one learning lesson for this week? So let's take this and let's go lay this on the year, right? Let's take this lesson, this question, and lay the lesson question on the entire year and look back and say, okay, fine, what did we learn in our lessons from this past year? Well, before we do that though, let's define what the word lessons would be. I mean, come on, Jess, you are an amazing teacher with, I don't know how many little acronyms or letters next to your name after the comma, right? Comma, it's like PhD, MBA, you have all these things, right? Yes.
I have a couple, although not as many as that sometimes I feel like life should have granted me automatically, right?
Sure. But lessons, let's define lessons.
Lessons are typically an intentional learning opportunity
Mm,
with defined outcomes.
that's good. That's
So
good.
it can be a very simple lesson, like let's learn, addition, like number sense and understanding doubles or something like that. Because apparently my 4-year-old is right now obsessed with math. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be dangerous. But it can be a simple lesson or it can be a larger one, like let's understand the underlying psychological themes of the leaders that then led to World War II. You can
Mm,
go big and broad, you can go simple and specific, but the idea is the lesson has an objective and an outcome.
that's right. So inside, when we onboard coaches and we take them through our intensive, we have a part in the blueprint that is for the coach to list out their success path, right? We call it a success path. And lessons as you're going back can be a success path creation. Now, let's get real for a second. Remember, failing can help you succeed, right? So this isn't a list or going through your successful positive lessons through the year. This is literally all of your lessons throughout the year. Good, bad, ugly, successful, significant, not successful, not significant. You and I, Jess, as we have, I think we're on the 7th iteration of our blueprint right now. We've had many lessons going through that, both good and productive, right? Productive
Mm-hmm.
meaning it didn't land well. That's a better way for saying we sucked at that moment in time. It didn't land the way that we wanted it to, but we had to go back and learn from that lesson to move forward.
Yeah, and I think a key thing to remember here is you have to have a growth mindset to be able
Mm,
to look at all of those challenges that you faced and those opportunities to audit and improve that may have come up and
yep.
use them strategically to grow from that. And I think that's where a lot of people will struggle because they don't want to be seen as anything other than perfect or right or correct.
Right.
And the thing I learned this as a teacher, whether I taught toddlers, high school, college, or adults, is people don't want to be wrong. But the thing is, you learn so much more by failing than you do by succeeding.
So true. So, what has to be removed to see these lessons, both good or bad? What has to be removed? I'm going to put you on the spot here. It's a 3-letter word. It starts with
I
an
was
E
going
and
to say,
ends
I
with an
already
O.
know it. I know where you're going. You didn't even have to
Well,
give me
give
it
me
with
a
a
hint.
3-letter word. It's ego. You
That's right.
have to remove your ego and
100%.
be open to learning and questioning everything so that you can grow as a human being.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Ego is, I absolutely love ego because ego is an amazing tool for learning itself, right?
Mhm.
So many lessons can be learned by paying attention to your ego, right? Whether that is confidence in a space that maybe you have mastered. And ego doesn't have to always be negative. Ego can be, we need ego. Let's be real, right? We need ego to go into an uncomfortable or an imposter syndrome space. I can do it. I can do it. Gosh, I hope I can do it, right? That's your ego pushing you. On the flip side, ego can also be bad to say, I know more than you, so therefore I'm better than you, and that's why I can be your coach, right?
Yeah.
That's where ego is bad.
Well, to me, good ego is the precursor to confidence. So it's one of those things where you might have to have a little ego in order to prove yourself in a space, to earn the authority, earn the
Mhm.
trust, as long as you don't go down that negative ego side. And then once you've proven yourself, that delivers that confidence. Once you've had success, then you can transition it into confidence. And as long as you continue to stay on that positive side of the spectrum you just outlined, it's
Mhm.
not a bad thing at all. It creates momentum and it creates bigger opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go back to the question. The
Mhm.
question is, what is the one thing you learned this past week, right? That's what we ask the coaches in the community on our community calls. So what we're going to do for the listeners right here is ask the same question, but take it on an annualized basis. What were the lessons that you have learned this year that you can fill in the blank there, that have moved you forward the fastest, that have opened your eyes to other opportunities, that have that you'll never do again, right? There's so many things that you can put at the end of that.
Yeah, created space for growth, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million different ways to kind of look at that. So I guess tactically speaking, since that's a big part of what we talk about,
Right.
Adam, not just the mindset side of it, tactically speaking, what would you tell a coach to do in order to maybe review their whole year? Because that sounds like a daunting task. Like, I might be able to sit here and think, oh my gosh, I did this one or two things really well. I helped these clients have these wins, whatever. Or, oh my gosh, I spent too much money on this program that I shouldn't have, or I bought into this technology I never used when I'm looking at my P&L. But it's really hard to kind of sit there and be like, what were the lessons as a list, or what was the biggest one when trying to review a whole year at once?
Right. So I'm gonna go back just to what you and I did about 4 weeks ago. So there's a process that I've learned throughout the years, was taught by an amazing man named John Berghoff. John ran GoBundance for a little while, and he is what I would consider a master at this approach called appreciative inquiry. And it's what's called a 4D model. And the first D is what's called discover, right? And the discovery phase is you have to discover what you appreciate the most about, and then fill in the blank, right? So in this case of what we're talking about, let's go back and say, okay, let's look at your year. If you're a coach, let's look at your year. In the discovery phase of the appreciative inquiry, what did you and do you discover, or did you discover that you appreciate the most about your business? Right? We're not looking to fix anything right now, right? These are lessons. What did you learn that you appreciated the most about your business? Well, let's see here. I increased my lead gen by doing this. I increased my conversion rate for closing clients through my sales cycle by doing this. I increased my number of clients by this percentage. I increased my MRR. So many different things that you can say, or you can get really granular and you can say, right, I positioned my podcast studio this way. I set up my follow-up system to be more professional, or my newsletter, right? There's so many smaller little things that you can say there, though I would have them start in the appreciation space first, right? That'd be the very first thing that I'd have them do, is make a list, go back to January, look at your entire year, right? Look at your entire year. Whether you use paper calendar, whether you use a Google calendar, go back January 1. You can look at it from a day standpoint on your Google calendar, or you can look at it from a month standpoint. But go every single day. And what lessons did you gain from either coaching clients at the time, from lead generation standpoints at the time, from sales cycle process standpoint at the time? What did you learn? And what did you appreciate about it? That'd be the first thing I'd have them do.
I love that. And I think, like we were talking about in the last episode as well, coming from a place of appreciation or gratitude helps you be in a right headspace to really do this effectively. Yes. Because again, you said earlier, it's okay to list challenges or fall flat on your face. The idea, the phrasing that I had to learn to become okay with not being successful was fail forward, right? Yeah. It's like you're running, you fall, you skin your knees, but if you fall and fail forward, you can pick yourself back up and keep going. It's the people who fall and stay planted where they fell that are the ones that don't grow. So that's why that I was saying that growth mindset is so valuable throughout this entire process.
Well, when you look at the things that are working, right, in my opinion, that's going to expose your strengths. Right? That's going to expose your strengths when you are able to expose what's working. Because what most people we have found do, and again, I've experienced this in the business world for many years, having run multiple businesses, having exited businesses, 6 and 7 figures, it's people look at their lessons on what needs to be fixed. Now, that's
Mm-hmm.
not wrong, right? That's not saying that you shouldn't look at what needs to be fixed. Though what I'm telling you to do right now is look at the areas that you are the strongest in, and let's go take those and make them even better.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at areas where you are not well versed or not um, uh, capable of doing something, you could spend some time there unpacking how to be better at it, which is a learning lesson. But you might be wasting time because you might be able to find a Jess Webber. You might be able to find some who's that can help you do that. I mean, take this as an example. The podcast, the I Love Coaching podcast, is so amazing. Though, Jess, we have incredible who behind us because you and I tried to do this and we realized the lesson was we ain't any good at doing anything other than speaking. Well, you're good at a lot of things, but I'm only good at just with a microphone and a camera on me. That's about as good as I am.
I appreciate that confidence in me, but I don't pretend to know anything about podcasting.
Yeah,
So
next to
no,
it.
you're exactly right. And so another way to even say that or think about that is by identifying your strengths, your opportunities also show up very quickly.
Yes.
But the great thing is if you're thinking bigger and you're thinking in a growth mindset and moving forward, then those opportunities that you have, those are places that you can strategically make partnerships or you can purchase leverage.
There you
And
go.
that's
Yep.
the most incredible word that I think so many people struggle with as entrepreneurs. So it can be a coach, but it can be honestly any entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Because so often we are excited about what we have. We have a big vision and a big goal. And we think that we have to do everything ourselves to be able to achieve that vision or goal, or pretty much by ourselves, because we want to own the thing and we want to be known for the thing. It's an ego thing, right?
Yep.
And yet, when you're doing that appreciative inquiry and discovering what you appreciate about your business, man, yours is your voice, mine is my vocabulary. The idea though is then you can sit there and identify, okay, well, I did hit this monthly recurring revenue, MRR, annual ARR, or I hit this many clients and I have this much money in my budget next year to fill in the gaps to then allow me to grow or scale even more. And so I want to do more of these things that light me up inside, that generate a return on the investment, etc. And the things that don't, I'm going to replace myself in, or
That's
I'm
right.
going to delegate to somebody else and I'm going to leverage out. And
Yep.
so by being intentional with your lessons, you focus on the things that allow you to continue to grow, and you hire to the things that don't.
Well, let's go back real quick here to some more tactics. And I love tactics, right? So if you dive into Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time, let's dive into this, right? He says that you have a pain line. So as you're looking at all of your lessons, both in a positive and negative standpoint, but all should be growth oriented. As you're looking at your lessons throughout the year, I want you to identify when you get to a pain line, right? A pain line is I want you to see like a graph with an arrow going up and to the right. And up and to the right, all the way to the right is the goal. The bottom left, the axis is a starting point. There will be a red line. There will be kind of probably multiple red lines going vertical, and we're going to call those pain lines. Here's what we know happens when you get to a pain line. The first thing you're going to do, you might do all of these three things, or maybe one of them. Though the first thing you're going to do is stall. Right? You're going to stall. You're going to stop. You're going to look around and you say, don't know, or I'll do that tomorrow, or whatever it is. The second thing you're going to do, and I know I'm talking to you guys because I know you can hear me, is you're going to sabotage yourself. Okay, when you get to that pain line, you are going to sabotage yourself. What does sabotaging yourself mean? Maybe I can do it myself. Or, yeah, I could leverage this out, but gosh, it might cost me $30,000 to leverage this out. I don't want to spend the money, so I'm going to do it myself. That's sabotaging, right? That's sabotaging. And the last thing you will do is you'll sell, or you'll punt, or you'll quit, right? Whatever that is. But we know that when you go through your buyback loop, as it says in the book, you need to audit your time. You need to transfer You need to transfer specific things that you find out do not bring you the highest amount of money and don't bring you the highest amount of energy. And then when you fill your time, everyone listening right here, I want you to hear this part. This was the biggest aha that I had when I went through this book. And it is all about lessons. $0 to $300,000. If you are in that category in your business, your biggest challenge right now, when it comes to filling time that you need to build the biggest skill in, is delegation. 100% delegation. Because if you're greater than 300,000 to 3 million, the book says your biggest challenge that you need to go fill your skill set with is learning how to lead through people. So those two things, I guarantee you our listeners are challenging themselves with right now, is they don't delegate well, or if they're at the 300 to 3 million mark, they're not leading through people well enough. And so as you look at all of your learning lessons throughout the year, where are you stalling? Where have you sabotaged yourself? Or where are you punting? And where are you delegating? Or where are you not delegating? And or where are you leading through people? Or where are you not leading through people?
I love this conversation. And, every episode we want to always lead with value. And so another piece of that book that aligns with everything that Adam just said that always sticks in my brain is the drip matrix. So Dan created this model that then my little Jess brain created a spreadsheet that automatically does it for you.
Well, let's give it to everybody. Yes, let's give it to everybody. That's our value add. Let's give it to everybody.
Well, I know that's what I'm going to say, but I want to explain what it is first. So the drip matrix
blow your mind.
is a
blow your mind.
Audit tool that when you write down all the activities that you're doing, when you're looking at those lessons of things that you're doing, you decide, is it something that makes me money? Yes or no? And is it something that lights me up inside? Yes or no? And when you answer those questions on each activity that you write down, it automatically will put it in the delegate space, the replace yourself space, the investment space, things that just really help you grow and impact you, or the production space where they actually make you money and you love it. And so, yes, Adam, I am happy to give away that spreadsheet. All you need to do is DM Coach Jess Webber, 2 B's, on Instagram with the word drip, and I will gladly give you a copy of that spreadsheet. Because I love this idea of when you're looking at lessons and looking at things that you're doing, automatically it's really easy to just ask yourself, do you like it and does it make you money? And then my spreadsheet just puts it in all 4 of those quadrants and tells you how much time you're spending in each, like a fun little pie chart. And you have to do next to nothing in it. So all of that came from that Dan concept of buying back your time and being really intentional and removing your ego from your business. So.
Well, and you can't really get to that level until you go back and you look at all the lessons that you have learned throughout the year. And then when you want to get better at this, start to challenge yourself maybe on a daily, a weekly, a monthly basis so that you can actually see the lessons that you learned every single day or every single week or every single month or every single quarter, and then watch how they add up and watch how they start to stack on top of themselves, and then watch yourself move forward faster because you're actually exposing your greatness.
I love that. Well, and to piggyback off what we talked about last episode, we discussed the power of journaling or taking time to be intentional and reflecting. Mm-hmm. And I think that this aligns with that perfectly because you honestly could take these questions that we're talking through and do that on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis and not just even annual, because then by the time you're ready to do it annually, you'll have those data points, whether you track the daily, weekly, or monthly, to then be more reflective and do a better job of auditing with.
So good. Yep. That is so good. And I do believe that this is something that is massively overlooked. I think that this exercise right here with auditing, which is the word that we used last episode, which we called a dirty word, but I love it. Auditing your lessons that you've learned throughout your year to be reflective of the growth that you have had and appreciate your lessons will so move you forward faster Though if you don't do this, you're winging it. Right? I really believe that you are winging it as either a coach or an entrepreneur. Because how do you know? How do
You
you know
don't.
what you're supposed to be doing next year? You don't. You're just
Well,
you're gonna step into the river and be the same person, right? Let's step you into the river and be a different person, but the same water.
I love it. I was going to say, to steal more of your language from the last episode. Playing like an amateur versus playing like a pro. Think about
Mm-hmm.
every athlete that we know. Pros review their game tape and audit every single move they make. That was a positive and a negative, right? And amateurs go out, they play, and then they're like, oh, that was a good game, that was a bad game, whatever, and they move on.
Right.
And so you want to go pro as a coach, and that means hitting whatever goals you set for yourself. So that could be somebody who wants to increase their income by a certain amount. It means they want to buy back so much time and only coach so much per week. It's whatever goal you set for yourself. But if you want to go pro as a coach in your own world, you have to play like that. And
right.
So part of that means being reflective and auditing or identifying areas of strengths and opportunities in your business.
Yep. So stinking good. I love that, because here's what I want everyone to listen and hear also. Take this model, take this approach, and go share it with your clients. Go share it with your team members. Go share it with your family. Go share it with your organizations, because this is such a valuable exercise to reflect and to grow with, that if you keep it for yourself, you're not going to be in a significant space. Be significant here. Go take this, go share, go do yourself, and then share it with the people around you.
Yes, please.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, Jess, let's tease them a little bit. What's next? What's our next podcast? Do we have a subject matter on the next podcast? Because I'm excited for this.
We do. We're going to wrap up this series on questions with the last question that we ask in every call that we do. And that's talking about upgrades. So what's next after you've been intentional in looking at what you feel like was a win, where you had opportunity to grow. Now, what are you going to do next? So again, we'll talk about it in terms of mindset plus tactics, which is my favorite thing to do.
Yes, it is. I'll let you lead that one. That's going to be good. Okay, so the call to action here is go to Coach Jess Webber. And Jess, what is the word they have to use?
DRIP, D-R-I-P.
DRIP. Use that word drip. Get her drip matrix and use it. It is when she built it, it blew me away. I was like, how long did it take you? Did it take you about a week or so? She goes, no, I did it in a night. I was like,
oh, okay. I did it. I literally woke up at 3 a.m., was reading the book, and had this like light bulb moment, because that's what I do. And I saw the entire spreadsheet in my head while reading this chapter. And so I woke up and probably an hour or so, I built it and made a template for other people to use and borrow and copy it and make it work for themselves.
So go to Jess's Instagram, Coach Jess Webber, DM her the word drip and get the drip matrix, and trust us, you will love it. Jess, great value today. Thank you so much for your time. I'm excited for our next podcast. And for you listeners, here's what we want you to do. If you like this, go subscribe to us. If you like this, go share it with someone. And if you like this, download this episode, and we'll see you next time. Jess, great job.
Thanks. You too.
See you guys. Take care.